Hello and welcome to the fascinating world of ES equilibrium state. My name is Dirk Beckmann and today I would like to invite you to take a glimpse into the magical world of natural walking, aka the forefoot step. Well, if you have been following me around and you know this channel, then you probably know that most of the content is in German language, but there are also some videos in English language or with English subtitles. So in case you don't know them, check the video description below. There's a link to the English or international section and you will see more videos that are in English and understandable for you. I've been touring Germany for quite a while and talking about the natural way of walking, or what I call the forefoot step. And I'm actually teaching this method for about, let's say, 10 years now. And I even published a little tiny workbook about it, which is called A Simple Guide to the Forefoot Step, and we will get to this one at the end of this session. And there have been a lot of requests from friends abroad if there's a possibility to do this thing in English. And I haven't had the chance yet to give an English presentation of this topic, but I think it's very interesting, so I will give you the short presentation here on this laptop with the presentation on your screen, and you will know a lot more about the forefoot step or the natural way of walking when you finish this. So I hope you enjoy it, and yeah, there's another thing coming. It's a video course that will be hosted in German first, and if there are more than 500 likes to this video, I will do an English video training course as well. So if you're interested, just hit the like button. Doesn't matter if you watch the video or not, but like it, and there will be a video course in English as well. So without further ado, let's jump right into the presentation. It's called the natural walking, a logical approach. Why is it called a logical approach? Well, I'm not trying to get at you as the guru who has all the knowledge and all the wisdom of the world, and my word counts and whatever you've learned before doesn't matter. So that's not my way of approaching things. I'm trying to give you my view on this world and my view on this topic. And if you like it, then you can adjust your ways of thinking. And if you don't like it, then you can stick to your ways of thinking. That doesn't matter to me. It's just an option that I'm trying to give you. And without any hard feelings if you don't adopt the forefoot step pattern. But just try to look at it from a logical way of thinking or point of view. And you will see there's a lot to it, and perhaps you will get to the opinion that walking in a different pattern might be very clever to do. Okay, who am I? As I said before, my name is Dirk Beckmann. I studied, or I have a diploma in information economics. My mom would say, well, my son did something from the real world back then. But today I'm actually not working in this field anymore. Today I'm a fascial therapist, so this means I'm working on the myofascial tissue of my clients, and I'm helping them to balance their body in the gravity field way better than before, and help them to move more fluently. And by doing this, I'm getting rid of a lot of issues and sometimes pain that's caused by this dysfunctional body. I'm also a hypno coach, which is today shown in the ES Mind section of my method. I'm also an author of 2 books. One of those books I've showed to you already. It's called The Simple Guide to the Forefoot Step. Of course, there's a German version to this book, which is called Einfach Ballengang. And there's another book, it's called Die Zickzacklinie, which is the zigzag line in English. There's no English translation yet, but we'll see in the future. And this book talks about how to align yourself in gravity and how to move when you lift up things, and even if you squat and all those things. Very interesting book as well. Apart from that, I'm a blogger. Unfortunately, most of the blogging content in German. And a YouTuber, as you can see right now. with some English content, and of course Facebooker and everything, which all of those things we have to do nowadays to get the message across. Well, I think this should be it. Only my wife, my children, and yeah, well, my tax accountant knows more about me. So this should be it. Let's jump right into the topic. This is the agenda. We will start in this video with the forefoot step and calling it a logical thing and explaining you why it's logical. In the next video, we'll talk about the advantages for your health. So what are the benefits when you do the forefoot step pattern instead of walking heel strike? And the third part is going to be about shoes. So it's got to be the shoes, of course. How to protect your feet, because actually shoes are a big thing that can cause a lot of trouble and a lot of issues with your body. So we have to feature this one as well. So, first topic, the forefoot step, a logical thing. So whenever you've learned about correct walking or natural walking or something like this and informed yourself, then you've probably heard the myth about the rolling foot. So you learn that you have to roll your foot from your heel to the ball of your foot, from the outside to the big toe, and that's considered to be correct walking most of the times. And well, I'm here to tell you that this is not true, because it works in a different way. And we will look at this topic, like the rolling foot, from, let's say, an alien perspective, like from the outside in, and trying to be very objective with this. So let's start. This is a ball or a sphere, as you can see. And this object, if we would place it on the table here or on the laptop, and we will pinch it or push it like this, then this object would roll. Well, of course, I mean, that's not a big thing, it's very natural, and you've seen it a lot of times. This is because this object is convex. If you don't remember those convex-concave things correctly anymore, there's a very nice saying which can be translated to English quite literally, and it says, does the girl behave, the belly stays concave. Does the girl have sex, the belly's gonna be convex. So convex is the round version of it. And you can see convex objects roll, apart from pregnant women, of course. But like balls and spheres and all those things, they roll. It's a convex object, no big deal. Okay, so let's look at the opposite. This soup bowl, which is flipped upside down, is considered to be concave. Okay, if you put this one on the table and you push it and pinch it, then it doesn't roll. Okay, you need a considerable earthquake or something so that it moves at all. Okay, concave objects don't roll, they simply don't. But here's the problem with it. If you take a look at your foot, then you see we have an arch, okay? And this is formed like this, okay? And your arch makes your foot a concave object. So we learned before that concave objects actually don't roll. So why should your foot roll? Well, a lot of experts then say, well, Mr. Beckmann, of course the heel, it's kind of round, so the heel should roll, and blah, blah, blah. And that's the point, okay, but for me it's the question, so what's the function of the arch of your foot then? Is the function to be rolled out flat or something? I don't know, but there are a lot of smart people who dig their minds into this topic, and one of them, you probably know him, is this guy. Is the evolution biologist Professor Daniel Lieberman. I think he's working at the Harvard Medical School in the US of A. And he did a nice survey. He had two groups of runners. One group was, the average runner you can see outside running around in his Nikes, Asics, whatever, with the air cushion at the heel and everything like that. And those runners actually, they run with the heel first, so they do the heel strike thing in general. And the other group he took was more or less native barefoot runners. And so he took a lot of people from East Africa, Kenya, and all those, let's say, top performing runners. And you can actually see them running, even in sports shoes, with the front of the foot first. So they do a front strike, as it's called in running. And why is that so? I mean, if you're in, let's say, Kenya, then you run, or your reasons to run are totally different than the reasons you have in, let's say, Europe. Because over here you do it for health reasons. That's not the same thing in Kenya. They do it for money reasons, because being a runner is a considerable job. You can earn money. If you're rich in Kenya, then you probably won't run because you have a lot of money, so you probably will tell your servants to get you your drinks and you will drive everywhere by car. And being a little bit obese is even considered to be, well, a status thing. So who's running? More or less people who are poor, who try to make their living by running, and when they start running, they don't have running shoes. They can't go to Runner's Point or something and buy their shoes. So they most of the time start running barefoot. And if you start running barefoot, and we will get to this later, you will run with your front of the foot first. So he took these both groups, and he had them run on the treadmill, and he came to a very, very interesting conclusion, because he had both teams running barefoot. Even the runners were like used to wearing shoes. And this is what he found. On the left side, you can see a curve for the heel strike, on the right side for the forefoot strike. And if you take a look, you see that on the left side, there's this little round circle, and with a quite high peak. And this peak is the first initial impact, like the first second when the foot touches the ground. And with the heel strike, this impact is quite high, and it says like 1.81 times the body weight, so almost double the body weight comes in as the first impact when you run with the heel strike. If you take a look on the right side, you see that this circle, so the initial impact, is much lower. There's no peak, and it says 0.34 times the body weight, so it's not even half the body weight that comes in. And you could say that running with your forefoot is considered to be much softer with less impact for your body. And why is that so? I mean, you can see that on the forefoot strike picture, the foot touches the ground with the pinky toe side of the ball first. And why is that so? I mean, you can see that on the forefoot strike picture, the foot touches the ground with the pinky toe side of the ball first, then rolls over to the ball side of the big toe, and then touches with the heel. If you're not really sprinting, your heel actually touches the ground. But by the time the heel touches the ground, your body weight is already shifted over the foot, and so your arch of the foot works like a shock absorber. So it takes the pressure and absorbs it. And another thing is that when you do it like this, then your knee is also bent, so your whole leg works as a shock absorber actually. If you do it with the heel strike, then, well, you can try it yourself. You can take your hands and do it like this, and you will see this is quite hard and there's a lot of impact. And that's essentially the same as running a heel strike, because on your heel there's just a little bit of fat tissue, and then there's the bone right away. And most of the times when you run a heel strike, then even your knee is straightened, so this impact can travel all the way through your head. So by what Mr. Lieberman found, you can say that running via the forefoot strike, or the forefoot step as I call it, less violently, is much safer and much more shock absorbing for your body. Okay, another interesting thing is that you actually make your first steps in the forefoot step pattern. And this guy found out about it, at least in Germany. His name is Dr. Hans-Peter Greb. Hans-Peter Greb is a medical doctor, and he was working with obese patients with ear acupuncture, and he was helping them to lose their weight and stuff. And he told me that when he was working in his practice, he was always walking around barefoot or in socks, whereas his clients, who were like quite fat, to say that, really made a lot of noise when they were walking. And one evening he was walking home in what's considered to be normal shoes by the average person. I mean, shoes with heels and stuff. And he was walking home through an alley, and he could hear his steps. And at this moment in time, he was like wow, wait, what's happening here? Because he felt that during the day walking was a totally different thing, because he couldn't hear his steps. And he was asking himself why. And then he found out that during the day he was actually walking with his forefoot first and not with his heel first. And now with those shoes he was walking heel first, and he could hear the noise of his steps just as the noisy steps of his clients. And so he was digging into this topic, and he found out about one very interesting thing. It's this kind of thing. It's the so-called step reflex. I don't know if you have children or not, but if you have a child, then at least in Germany, after 3 or 4 days, there's a first initial checkup, a medical checkup, and they check a lot of natural reflexes. And if they're not okay, then the child has to see the doctor and stuff. And one of those reflexes is the so-called stepping reflex. And I will show you a little video, but before that I will tell you what actually will happen. You will see this little girl, and she's grabbed under the arms, and she's lifted over a surface, and she's going to make steps, and she's actually using the forefoot step pattern. The interesting thing is that due to the fact that she's very, very young, she can really control the movements. So sometimes she's stepping with the heel first, but watch her retracting her heel and trying to step with the forefoot. It seems like she doesn't really like to step on the floor with her heel. It seems to be uncomfortable for her. So let's jump into the video and you will see what I mean. Okay, so now you can see that she's stepping, and watch her heel. Heel, no, heel, no, forefoot. Heel, no, forefoot. Heel, no, forefoot. So she seems to not like the idea of touching the ground with her heel. And she's rather touching the ground with the front of her foot. So you can see your first steps actually were forefoot steps. So that's kind of interesting, because at that time you weren't able to do anything but sucking your mom's breast for milk, and you couldn't turn around, flip around, walk or something, or sit. But it seems to be hardwired into your system that you move your feet like this. And the next step would be after about 1 year, and during this time you make your first real own steps without the help of your parents. And actually, if you have children, then you might remember that children make those first steps in a forefoot step pattern as well. They make these tiny little steps, walking almost just on the ball of the foot. And this one I also would like to show you some short videos about my daughter. And the first video, she's walking in a park barefoot, and you can see that she's actually not trying to walk on her heel. The second video is also my daughter running, and you can see she's very light, and her running style is she almost seems like flying. And if you remember the last runner you saw outside, or jogger or something, then you will see it looks totally different. Okay, so it's considered to be a more energy saving way of running if you do it on your forefoot. And the last video shows some other girls, because I was confused. There was another expert. He said oh well, my children don't do it this way. You run on the forefoot, but you walk on the heel. And I was like, yeah, it doesn't work. And so we checked out some other children just to see if perhaps my daughter's just copying me. And surprise, surprise, those other children, of course, use the forefoot step pattern. So let's jump right into the video, and you will see what I mean. So this is my daughter at 15 months, and you see that she's also walking on the forefoot. She's not trying to use her heel first or something like this. And at that stage, if I told her to do it in a certain way, then she couldn't get it. She did it the way she did it, and it was obviously not a heel strike. You can also see the foot is slightly supinated, so it's the pinky toe ball side goes down first. Okay, when was the last time you saw a runner laughing like this? Okay, you see she's having fun, and she's enjoying it, and it's very light. And you can also see the foot is supinated, and the forefoot touches first. So that's the way. of natural running, basically. And in this next video, you will see the movement pattern of those other children, and I will skip a little bit to the front because the German text is not very relevant to you. And now you see the video. And just watch the little girl with the pink skirt, and she's gonna like touch a leaf with her right foot right now. And you see that she uses her feet for touching and feeling the ground and not stomping on it with the heel. Now they're running also in the forefoot step pattern, and you met the girl before, and now her little brother who's coming in, he's also very like careful with the ground, and he's using a forefoot step pattern. Okay, so you can see that you used this pattern before. It's not new to you. Okay, so it's what you did in the early days, and actually you are using this pattern today. If you're walking in your natural habitat outside, then you would use the forefoot step pattern right completely naturally. Because if we would go into this forest and on this path, and you could imagine that there are tiny stones and sticks and acorns or something like this, and you're barefoot, and then just imagine how you would take your first step. Most people answer, well, I would touch the ground with the forefoot first because it's much safer. Some are very well stubborn, and they would perhaps take 3 or 4 steps with the heel first, but after the 4th stone in their heel, they would switch over to the forefoot step pattern quite naturally. And even if you would take it up a notch and you would walk right into the forest, and there might be some leaves in autumn, and you don't know what's under those leaves, you wouldn't touch the ground with the heel first because it's way too dangerous. You would touch the ground with the forefoot, and that's the very, very natural way of walking. And you would use the same pattern on this beach with those tiny stones or shells or whatever is on the ground, or in this kind of desert area with little stones and sharp rock on the floor. You wouldn't touch the ground with the heel first. And this is like different natural habitats we humans live in. And actually we're designed to be barefoot and walking in those environments without streets and without concrete and everything like this. So the forefoot step would be a natural pattern for us to use. And actually you're already using the forefoot step pattern. For example, when you're running, as I said before, when you're running, your heel doesn't even touch the ground. Or when you're walking sideways. I'm sitting right now so I can show you, but you can try to do side steps and you will see you will use the front of your foot. If you do it with the heel straight, then it looks rather funny and feels rather stupid. Also climbing stairs, sorry. Even climbing chairs as well, but climbing stairs would be like you take a step and you touch the stair with the forefoot, and you probably leave your heel up in the air. You don't even touch the step with your heel, even if the stair is broad enough. And the funny thing is that if you reverse the pattern, if you descend stairs, you also do it in a forefoot step pattern. You wouldn't like go down with the heel first. You would go down with the forefoot touching and feeling for the floor, just as the baby does in the step reflex. Jumping as well. If you jump with your forefoot up and then land on your forefoot as well. If you land on your heels, then this causes a lot of trouble, and you will be a good client for your doctor, and you will have all your joints down there like broken and destroyed. Dancing as well. I'm not a dancer, but if you imagine people dancing like Latin dance or something, most of the times they are like very, very light-footed and touching the floor with the front of the foot. Or walking on the same spot. That's kind of funny. If you just stand on the same spot and you walk, then you naturally do a forefoot step pattern. You can do it in a heel strike pattern, and you will see it feels really stupid and it looks really stupid. So automatically you do it in a forefoot step pattern. And so on. So whenever you move in a dynamic way, whether it's boxing or skipping rope or something, you will use the forefoot pattern. You will never use a heel pattern, not at all. So it's interesting to see that it's really a logical way to do it this way. Okay, that's the end of part 1. Hope you stay to part 2. But don't forget to like this video, and perhaps you even subscribe to the channel. That would be cool, and you will find the link to the next video down there in the video descriptions. It will be the first link, and then we will see each other in part 2 and talking about the advantages for your body. Okay, welcome back to part 2. Now let's talk about the advantages of the forefoot step pattern. I mean, we talked about the logical part of it, and it seems to be quite logical to do it, but you're not doing it. So is there any benefit in doing it? Because you're obviously still alive, at least you can use the computer or your smartphone or your iPad or something like this, your tablet. So it doesn't kill you, but what could be the benefits of walking in a forefoot step pattern? Let's jump right into the presentation. The first thing we have to consider is comparing a chain of bones versus a myofascial chain. I already talked about it a little bit before, but if you use heel strike, then you're really landing on your bones. And if you have your, let's say, knee straightened, then of course this impact that Mr. Lindemannstraße measured to be almost double the body weight travels up to the skull, and you can actually hear it if you walk in a heel strike and you put your fingers in the ears. You will hear a boom, boom, boom noise every time you step, and you don't hear that noise if you walk in a forefoot step pattern. Then you will hear nothing. And it's basically this one. This is a tensegrity model. I don't know if you can see it. So this is like a Buckminster Fuller style tensegrity model. And if you walk heel strike, then it's basically this one. And you can hear it's very like hard noise and impact. But if you do it in a forward step pattern, then it works like this. I can't do it over here because there's not enough space, but I will do it over here. And it goes like this. Like the whole thing absorbs the shock of walking. Okay, and that's another thing. If you do it like this, then it even gives back some energy, and you can make it jump, and it gives back the energy of the walk. So you can save some of the energy from the first step to use it in the second step, but only if you use your myofascial chain, which means like you use your fascia, so the soft tissue or the connective tissue of your body, and the muscles combined, and you don't step into the bone structure. Okay, there could be a lot more things to be explained about myofascia. What is it? How does it work? But it's not really the topic of this video. And if you go to the section of the international videos, then there will be some videos explaining how fascia works and how it looks like, and so you can go in there and take a look. But actually, it's like just for you to remember: if you walk on your heel, then it's like transferring the shock from touching the ground directly to your bone system, to your head, to your skull, and you will cause a lot more damage to your joints. I mean, your knee is the first joint that has to take more impact, and the next joint obviously is your hip, and you will stomp with like double of your body weight into this joint, and you will compress it like very hard, and then you will also move it and grind it, and then there might be atrocious or something much earlier than it should be, because you're using your body in the wrong way. Whereas on the other side, it's like if you walk softly in a forefoot step pattern, then it's not compressed as much. So it can move, but it's not pushed into the socket as much, so there's not as much friction, and it saves your joints actually. So you should consider walking in a myofascial pattern instead of walking in a bone pattern. Next point. My back hurts. Something a lot of people say, especially my clients. And there's an interesting thing. I saw a TV documentary about this guy. He's called Dr. Anders, and he was introduced to be the back pain expert. Well, I'd rather be the expert for a healthy back, but he seems to be the expert for a bad back. And he has this like machine where you can put your body into it, and it moves around like a robot arm, and it diagnoses a lot of things. And basically he says that when you're walking, there's an impact on the floor, and this impact travels through your body. And you know, we already had this topic. And then he says your back muscles are considered to be the muscles that absorb this shock. And if your back muscles are out of balance or not strong enough, then this will cause back pain. Well, I would say perhaps it's like those muscles do compensate for a bad walking pattern, walking heel strike of course, and they help to absorb the shock, but actually they are not meant to absorb the shock. So that's why after a while they start to complain and they will start hurting. How easy could it be that, or if you would transfer the body weight into a softer pattern using the forefoot step pattern and absorbing the shock so it doesn't travel up to the back, so those muscles don't have to do the job they are not supposed to do, and so they won't hurt. Okay, he of course says you have to train your back muscles and get stronger and stuff, but I would say change your pattern and you change your back pain on this regard. Another advantage, also my back hurts. My colleague Dr. Zorn, he's also a German from Berlin. He did a survey on the lumbar fascia, which is like a big fat fascia sheet that's in the lower back area, the area that hurts a lot of people. And actually when you're walking and you do what we call contralateral movements, which means like your pelvis is moving to the right side and your shoulder girdle is moving the left side. So it's always the opposite sides moving. And when you do so, then this lumbar fascia, as you can see in the middle picture on the right side, is always stretched in a diagonal way, which means that this fascia is always moved, and it has to be, it's strong, but it has to be flexible to a certain degree. And if your body moves like this, then the fascia in this area stays, let's say, elastic to a certain degree. And this pattern, this contralateral pattern, really is emphasized in the forefoot step pattern. You will have to do it, otherwise your forefoot step pattern doesn't work that well. And if you do so, then it has positive effects on your back, because apart from your fascia, it's also that your muscles will, like on one side they will lengthen and the other side will shorten, and then you will turn to the other side and it's vice versa. So permanently contracted muscles will always have to loosen because they will get a lot of length. So the contralateral movement pattern that's found in forefoot step, walking a lot, helps your back. And if you don't do it, then your whole lumbar fascia gets really rigid, and your muscles can contract for a long time, causing pain by just contracting the whole time. And also if you move abruptly, then this fascial sheet can't absorb the shock because it's not elastic anymore, it's really hard and tough, and then there will be like little scars and little damages, and that will hurt. So this is one major issue, one major cause of back pain. So you should consider to do contralateral movement, doing forefoot step pattern, and you will not even get rid of those kind of back pain, but you won't even get them. Okay, so this is a very big advantage. Oh, see, the sun is coming out. Great. It's winter in Germany right now, so sun is a great thing to see. Okay, next step. I don't know if you know about this like foot reflex zone massage things. I'm not too much of an advocate, but there's one interesting thing that you can find. And this slide is called "Don't Step on Your Gonads." I don't know if it's pronounced correctly in English, but the gonads are this big round circle kind of thing at your heel. In German it's called Gonaden. And if you don't know what it is, it's basically your sexual organs. So you could say if you walk on the heel of your foot and you follow this foot massage kind of model of the word, then you're stepping onto your sexual organs with double your weight, 1.81 times your body weight is stepping on your sensitive sexual parts. And personally, I don't like it. I'm the soft type of guy, so I'm rather preferring to using not even half of my body weight on the forefoot, which is actually the lungs and your breathing system. So there's another funny thing, because there's one major muscle that's used for walking if you walk correctly, and this is the psoas major. And this muscle, most of the times if you walk heel strike, then you use a lot of leg muscles to walk, but actually you should use your psoas major, which is a very, very deep muscle in your body. And this muscle connects your leg to your spine, and actually fascially it even grabs into your pelvis. So it connects your walking with your breathing. And this is very interesting, because if you follow this model of foot massage, kind of model of the world, then you also massage your lungs first when you're walking. So this also gives a connection between walking and breathing, which is quite interesting. And that's another thing. If you walk on your heel, you can see this horseshoe kind of like structure at your heel. It's called the I don't know how it's called in English, the ischias, the ischial nerve. And a lot of people have trouble with this, and you could argue from this slide, of course they have trouble because they are like stepping onto it all of the time, and it's not meant to be stepped on. Let's go to the next slide. We have the venous pump, the venous pump, which means like your heart has to get the used blood from, let's say, your feet or your legs back to the heart to put more oxygen in it again. And of course your heart is like a pump, but it's not like a very high compressor kind of pump that has a lot of power. So the body has a lot of tricks to help it, and one of those tricks is the venous pump, and it actually works like this. Just imagine a straw or some kind of tube, and when you have water in it and it's filled with water and you press onto it, then the water will, if the bottom is closed, then the water will swap out on the top. So that's basically what happens when your leg muscles contract, and so it helps the blood to go up, and then those little gates, those, I don't know how they call it in English, the claps or whatever, they open when it's compressed, so the blood goes up, and when the compression releases, then those things shut down and the blood stays up. So it's like pumping, and your blood goes up just by contracting your muscle. And the interesting thing is that you do it once per step in heel strike, and 2 times if you do it forefoot step. So I have to do it with my hands because I can't stand up right now. So it's like if you walk like this with your heel, then you have a pumping motion when you get up again. So the pumping motion is here. And if you walk forefoot step, then you have a pumping motion here and when you leave. So it's 2 times. So you could argue that a lot of people have trouble with their veins in their legs because they're trying to transport the same amount of fluid with just half of the pumping motions. Okay, so that could be another advantage of the forefoot step. But there's one thing to it that forefoot step becomes difficult sometimes, and that's because, first of all, there are old movement patterns. During your kindergarten days, you lost your forefoot step pattern because of shoes, first of all, and then because of peer pressure. Because if your mom and dad are using a heel strike, then you're very much likely to adopt that pattern because you're learning from seeing what other people do. So you're mimicking other people. And then if you're in kindergarten and all the other children are walking in shoes as well and they're walking heel strike, then your ego is not strong enough to say, well, they don't know anything. You will try to belong to the group, and peer pressure will lead to you walking in heel strike as well. Unless you walk barefoot in your natural environment, then you will switch to the forefoot pattern automatically. Another thing is that most of the times you walk in the wrong speed. What does that mean? Usually if you walk outside, you're too fast actually. And I usually tell my clients you're walking in a pace that doesn't exist, and they are quite confused because it doesn't make sense at first. But just imagine you're in an office and you have a customer on the phone and he's really angry and he wants you to get a copy out of your a color copy machine or something, and he wants you to tell you if this is a whatever sun yellow or an orange yellow or whatever. And you have to walk to this office, and it's five offices away, and you have to really hurry up because the guy's really angry. And just imagine how you will walk. You will walk in a fast pace. Okay, you will walk, but fast. Okay, then just imagine a 4 to 6 year old child doing the same thing. So this child will run. Okay, so the question is, why don't you run? It's because society tells you it's not okay to run in the office, and perhaps you will like displace your shirt and whatever, or you can run in your shoes or something. So you don't run. You do a very stiff motion, fast walking kind of thing. And what happens here is that usually at a normal running thing, you would like this would be standing, this would be walking, this would be running moderately, and this would be sprinting. But since you don't want to engage your body and gain momentum so that you're running, you will lean back a little bit and let your feet lead the motion. And by doing so, your feet will be like this, and so the heel touches first all the time. If you lean your body forward, then your feet be more like this, and then you will have a forefoot step pattern. So walking in the wrong speed causes heel strike actually. I always tell my clients to do it like the Swiss, do it more slowly. I don't know how to do it in English, but in German it works. So they are slower when they're talking. So you should be slower in your average walking pace, or you should be running. But don't walk fast and stressful. That doesn't make sense, and it makes you run in the heel strike. And the last thing is obviously unfunctional shoes. And this is going to be the next topic, because this is the end of part 2. Hope to see you back for part 3. Don't forget to like this video, and if you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel, and see you for part 3, and let's see what shoes can do for you. Okay, welcome back to part 3 of this short video seminar. Let's talk about shoes, because basically everybody's wearing shoes around here in the urban area. There are just few people walking around barefoot, and most of the times they are looked upon very strangely, like in the US, like the barefoot sensei Mick Dodge, big shout outs, very nice guy, or Ken Bob Saxon, who's running barefoot, or other barefoot guys. If you go to a restaurant like that, perhaps they will kick you out and say, you don't have shoes, you can't come in. So running barefoot or walking barefoot is not very common, so you wear shoes, but there are some things you have to consider when wearing shoes. And the first thing is you need to have toe freedom. Toe freedom means your big toe, if you look at the left picture, that's actually like my foot, and one of my shoes is my torture shoe, I always call it, and this is the shoe my wife forces me into when we have to go to some weddings or something, and I'm sometimes forced to wear these shoes. I actually don't wear shoes like this for more than 10 years now, but sometimes I have to, and they're very uncomfortable for me. But just look at this shoe. I mean, this is a shoe, and it was like about like 300 to 300 euros or something, so it's not a cheap shoe. And there was a lady, and she was like a sophisticated shoe saleswoman, and she sold me this shoe, and this is my size. But if you take a look at the picture, how the hell should this foot fit into this shoe? It can only work if you put your big toe to the middle, just like those pictures from bare shoes in the middle. If you look at the left foot, then you can see what this shoe does to your big toe. And this is actually a very bad thing, because it's causing a symptom called hallux valgus, which causes the joint of the big toe to move out more and more, and then it's like causing pain, and it's it doesn't look very good, and a lot of old people have it, and you can avoid it by just wearing shoes with toe freedom. But there's another thing that really causes a lot of trouble by just don't having enough toe freedom, and it's what my friends from Transcendent Bodywork will show you in this short video, and that I'm using in this presentation. And because they did a very awful job, not awful, awesome It's awful to say it, but it's a very, very awesome job they did. They have a model and they put two very major muscles into the model and explaining why it's very important to have toe freedom. And we're talking about the flexor lucis longus and adductor lucis, and those both muscles are actually very important for raising the arch of your foot. And since you're English, or at least English-speaking people, I don't have to explain the video to you as I usually have to. I can just show it to you because the guys from Transcendent Bodywork really explained it very well. So let's take a look into the video and you will see why you need to have toe freedom for your shoes.
Muscles, and I put these little duct tape things on here. I attached the muscles where they're supposed to go so that when I pull this toe with tension, and you can see both the flexor hallucis driving the first phalange into the support surface and the abductor hallucis keeping the bones articulated along the edge of the arch, it provides good structure. And I can push down on the arch, and you see these bones staying articulated. Most athletic footwear on the market today from our major manufacturers include features such as heel elevation, which brings the heel above the metatarsal heads. That shortens these extensor muscles, starts to lengthen the flexor muscles on the bottom. They then include a little bit of upturn of the toes in the front called toe spring. You can see that that is further shortening these extensor muscles, further lengthening the flexor muscles on the bottom. Then they put you into toe taper. They squeeze the toes together, and you can see how that lengthens abductor hallucis and puts the toe into an alignment where its ray is not directing force into the first metatarsal, it's directing it off that way. Now, if I hold the toe in that position, a little pressure on the top of the ankle, now watch what happens. Oh, you might have just seen the decoupling of the arch, the pronation, the spilling. Now, if I pull that toe back into proper alignment, and again, if I pull those together, you see this first ray get snugged up and supported. It lifts the arch with supination.
So you can see that it's really important to wear the right shoes, and especially when you're talking about your toe freedom. But there are other things that are very important for shoes, and one of those is so-called zero heel. If you have an elevated heel, then you're basically doing the same thing as the tower in Pisa is doing. You are not straight, you're not aligned with the gravity, but you're almost falling over, and because you don't want to fall over, you need a lot of strength in your muscles and a lot of tension in your muscles to keep you sort of upright. Okay, but there's no point in doing it because you came to this earth with like your heel and your ball on your foot on the same level. So why elevating the heel? There's no point in it. So you should look for shoes that are very, very zero level and have a zero heel, and the ball of the foot should be at the same height as the heel. You can see one of those shoes. I did a shoe test video and I cut my shoe in half. This is one shoe from a German manufacturer. They are called Joe Nimble, and you can see that the front of the shoe has the exact same thickness as the heel. So that's the way it should be. Don't use elevated heels or cushioned heels or something. You don't need that. Your foot does the shock absorbing for you. You don't need your shoe doing that. Next point would be a thin and light sole. If you take a look at those both shoes, they are a very good example of what not to use. If you take the left one, which is like a mountain hiking boot, then you can see that in this shoe, your foot doesn't move at all. And if your ankle doesn't move, and this is a joint that's supposed to move, then all the tissue surrounding it, the muscles and the myofascial tissue and the connective tissue, becomes more stiff, and this leads to a less good, let's say, circulation of certain fluids. So that's one thing, and you can see it with elderly people who have like very swollen feet. And it also leads to the fact that this tissue becomes stiff, and then if you move your ankle because you go barefoot or you don't have those shoes on, and then you like slip or something, then you will automatically damage this tissue, because as you have seen in the back part, because it's not elastic anymore in any way, it will get damaged by moving. Okay, so it's the old thing, like the bamboo moves in the wind because it's elastic, and the tree cracks and it gets damaged. And the same thing happens when you don't let the tissue move on a regular basis, and you like putting it into let's say a castle or something, and cuffs, and it doesn't move. So this causes a lot of problems. So let your ankles and your joints move, because motion is lotion. That's how it's meant to be. And the next shoe is actually I always call it the reality confusing shoe, more or less translated in German, because what happens here is you have this air cushion for your heel, so it actually like lifts your heel, so it's not zero level anymore. And then another interesting thing happens. Those shoes rarely have enough toe space. So usually if you would walk barefoot or in correct shoes, the sensory feedback from your feet to your head would be like, okay, walking with the heel, that hurts, that's not okay, let's try something else. And then you would walk on the front, and it would be like, that's okay. So you would use this forefoot pattern. But in those shoes, it totally changes your reality, because if you walk with a forefoot step pattern, then usually your foot would like fan out a little bit. Okay, so your toes would widen a little bit. But since the shoe is very narrow, this doesn't work, so it feels uncomfortable. So walking with the front is like, it doesn't feel right. And then you will try to walk with your heel. And since this is cushioned, it feels okay. So instead of okay, not okay, it's not okay, okay. So it changes your whole reality, and you feel like walking on your heel is very good. And by doing so, you will change a lot of like muscle connections in your whole body, and you will change the way you walk and your body moves. So this is actually a shoe you shouldn't wear. What to wear? It's very simple. It's not typically this brand, it's just one example, but you need a very thin sole that's also flexible. So how thin it could be, I'm not very familiar with inches, but in centimeters it would be, or millimeters actually, it would be like 2 to let's say 6 millimeters. That's quite okay. And your shoe should be flexible. So your foot should be free, and the shoe should adapt to your foot and not the other way. So you actually see a lot of people producing shoes. They show this on their videos, right? They're doing this with the shoes, and they're smiling. But actually, a thing you need to consider is that if you can do this with your foot, I want to see it. Send me your video, because actually it's okay, but it's not too relevant. This one is relevant. So can the shoe move in this direction, and actually can the shoe twist and turn? So if that is like happening with the shoe, then this is a good shoe for you. So you need to consider a shoe that's thin and flexible. And actually, if the sole is very thin, then also the weight of the shoe goes down, because most of the weight is considered to be the sole. If you have a very thick sole, then the shoe is obviously heavy, and if the sole is thin, then it becomes like very simple. So those are the things you need to consider wearing shoes. So what's the conclusion of this whole thing? Actually, if you take a look at this guy over here, then you can say that you're not too far away from him, because if you would have been born into his tribe, or put there by your parents at a very early age, then you could have adopted to this environment. Okay, perhaps, I don't know how your skin tone is, perhaps you have a little sun issues at first, but also this would like get less and less. But then you could like hunt the way he does. You would be slim the way he is because you have the same food that he eats and the same amounts that he eats. And you could track game and everything, and you would walk around barefoot the way he does, and you would use the forefoot step pattern. And you can see that this is very, very natural, and perhaps you should consider your origins a little bit more when it comes to moving and caring for your body, and you will see that you can get rid of a lot of problems, and a lot of problems won't even occur if you use your body in a proper way, in a safe way. So this is it. Thank you for your attention, and you can see if you use the forefoot step pattern, look at those three guys, they're very happy, and you can see that the old guys, they are moving in the forefoot step pattern for much longer than the younger guys, so they are a lot more happy. So thanks for your attention, but actually we're not really done. There are some things I want to give you on your way. As I said earlier, there's a forefoot step book and an online training. So if you want to get the book, which is already out now all over the world, you can search for a simple guide to the forefoot step on Amazon, for example, worldwide, and you can get a hardcover or an ebook. And it's a very short book, as you can see here. It's not very thick, so it gives you very, very brief instructions on how to move it, or how to use it, how to use the pattern. And I don't know if right now, when you're watching this video, if the video course is already online, if it gets done, if you click like 500 likes, you remember. If it's online, then you can see the link down there in the video descriptions. And I just put some testimonials for you into this presentation, what experts say, and you can read what Dr. Robert Schleip, like the German fascia guru, says about the book, or Tom Myers, the author of Anatomy Trains, or Mr. Gustafsson from Transcendent Bodywork, what he says about the book, or Dr. Ray McCallum, who's like also very famous in the foot world, let's put it like this way. So check out those testimonials and credentials, and if you like it, get the book, and if the online training is on, get the training. But more important than this is, if you're ready for more, then you can get 100% free fascia fitness online video training, and you will also get the link down there in the video descriptions, and it gives you 5 very simple, very cool exercises that you can do every day, and they will help you a lot. And I call them the 5 wise men, because people who do it, they are considered to be wise. Very cool training. It's totally for free. You will get an email for like 4 weeks, 1 week, or 1 video per week. And if you don't like it anymore, you can unsubscribe every time. It's no problem. Currently, there are like thousands of people in Germany doing it at this moment. But even more important, don't forget to like this thing, and check out the international section of the video channel, and subscribe to the channel if you like to. And remember, sharing is caring. So if you think that forefoot step pattern is a thing that's very important, then share this video on your Facebook channel, Instagram, whatever, YouTube channel, or something like this. Just share it to other people, and inform them and help them to live a healthy life and a better life. And yeah, that's about it. And thank you for your time. Thank you for being here. Hope you enjoyed it, and see you next time. Dirk Beckmann, USt-IdNr, signing out. Have a nice time. Bye bye.